Hi everyone, Helen Blunden here at Activate Learn on Twitter. It is time for another book review. It is Sunday morning, it is a beautiful day. The husband is out playing golf. I've got the whole house to myself, so why not do a book review? Now, this time it is on Lynda Grattan's and Andrew Scott's The New Long Life, a Framework for Flourishing in a Changing World. And I picked this book up because I'd found out about it in Lynda's tweets. Now, I've bought all her books. I really love all her books. And so it was only a given that I was going to buy this one. I was really intrigued with the design of the book first, I must admit. When I saw the book, the first thing I thought was, why is there a lizard on the cover? Don't lizards live for 50 years? Like, we need more than a 50-year-old lizard. But that's when I realized, hang on a second, it's colorful. Is that meant to be a chameleon? A chameleon's what we're trying to be in this new long life, and in fact it is. For out of interest, I mean, I always look at the design too. It's designed by Michael Kuzmiewicz. Sorry, I didn't say that correctly. I couldn't find anything on the internet about the designer, but I thought, genius, chameleon. So Michael, good work. Okay, so The New Long Life, a framework for flourishing in a changing world. This book is published by Bloomsbury. There's about 240 pages. There's an excellent bibliography at the end of it. Check out the references because there are some little comedic remarks through them. It's a book that I have scribbled and created a lot of marginalia in. As you can see here, I'm the type of person who cracks spines, makes copious amount of notes, and reflects on what I'm reading and applies it to what it is that I'm doing at work and in life. And this book is actually going to set me up for the next phase of my life. And I'll explain that. Not that you probably want to know that, but you'll see what I mean. Anyway, so first it's in three parts. Part one is the human questions. Part two is human ingenuity. And part three is the human society. So the whole premise of what the authors are saying here is that we've got to up our human ingenuity. We've got to become social engineers. Why? Because we are going to be living a long life, a healthy life, and we need to start making some changes both in government agenda, corporate agendas, and the education sector to cater for people who are living this long life. Like I said, it is split into three. The first one talks about human progress and human flourishing. How are we going to flourish as humans? We need to become ingenious. The next one is, how do we up our ingenuity? Well, there's a three-phase way of doing this. You've got to narrate, and I've got it here, narrate and navigate your life story. We've got to explore learning and transformation, and we've got to relate, connect deeply with others. And then the third part is the human society, as to what corporates can do, what the education sector can do, and what governments can do to help the people with the new long life. So let's look at the framework that they are talking about. It's a framework over three components. The first one is narrate your new life story. So looking ahead and saying, well, knowing that I'm X amount of years old, and as a side note now, let me just go to a side note, is the authors encourage us to look at age differently, not as a chronological age. I mean, I am 50 years old. I'm old, okay? Compared to society, society thinks me old. So therefore, I'm beyond my use by date. Therefore, I can't be productive anymore. Wrong, wrong, wrong. So how we think of age should be changed to thinking that looking ahead, looking how many years we've got to go. I mean, not that we know our death, but looking ahead and understanding that, knowing that we've got a whole long life ahead of us, what can we do in that time? So the first one, let's go back to narrating a new life story, is looking at what skills, what career, what kind of capabilities do we need, what does our life, what will our life look like? And it's not just schools and education and career, it's also about family and understanding what do our family and our relationships with friends also look like. So the second phase was exploring learning and transformation. Now, this was the area of interest of mine. This was all about knowing that we've got so many years ahead. What are we going to do in that time? What are the things that we can build up on? What are the skills, capabilities, the experiences, Are the experiments? Do we go back to school? What can we do to explore learning and transformation to get us ready for that? And the third one was relating deeply and building relationships. And this was a big one for me, because I started to think about, well, my own relationships. At the age that I'm at, a lot of my friends and family are all my age or a lot older, and I'm hanging around with a lot older people. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I love it. They just give me new ideas. They're like mentors and coaches to me, and we have a great laugh and kind of understand me. So I love that. But I started to think, I don't have many young people in my life. I want more 30s, 20s, teens, young people in my life, because they will also give me a different perspective. And so the authors here encourage us to think about our relationships and making sure that we had very diverse relationships from across intergenerations, because they would also help us be better people, but also relate better across different generations, which we're going to see in our family life. So they were the three aspects that they focused on. Within those three aspects, there were questions, so you could sit down and actually start to reflect on those if you wanted to sit down and commit some time to do these exercises. What did I love about this book? Well, there was a couple of things. The first one was reframing our view of age from a chronological age to understanding. They called it thanatological. I'm a Greek background. Thanato means death, which means understanding that your death might be a long way off. So in that time, what is it that you're going to do? Also, I love the fact that we've all our social structures, all our corporate policies, all our education institutions are all not set up for this. And so there's massive reform needed in these areas if we are going to make these changes. The second lesson I got here is, rather than wait for the corporate, the education institutions, and the government to make these changes, we've got to start doing this ourselves. Don't sit still. Don't think that, whatever they decide, I'll make changes then. Change now. Make an effort to self-educate now and be ready for it. Don't wait for your corporates, don't wait for your education institutions, and certainly don't wait for government to make the changes, because it's going to take time. And in that time, you've got time to start learning. And it was really weird that at the same time, our Australian government yesterday jacked up the prices of humanities and arts degree, focusing more on STEM. And it was the opposite to what was being mentioned in here. So that was very interesting, which is something I'm not going to comment on now. The third aspect that I liked is, believe it or not, it was a positive read. We hear so much online, fake news, social media, that, robots are going to come over and take our jobs. There's not going to be any jobs around. High unemployment rates. There's a bird just sitting out there. Oh my God, it's huge. Anyway, let's not sit still. Let's not wait for our governments. Now, is there something that could be improved in this book? The only thing I would say, it's very, very minor though, is that is heavily text-based, as you can see. Some people do require diagrams. There are some diagrams. I would have loved to see that framework that they have there in some kind of visual format. So some kind of framework with all the questions there, but it's really minor. It's not a big thing. You definitely have enough to sit down and actually go through the questions yourself if you want to do this as an exercise and start to think about your life ahead. So there you go, The New Long Life, a Framework for Flourishing in a Changing World by Andrew J. Scott and Lynda Grattan. So I highly recommend this book. It's for anyone, regardless of what industry, profession they're in, what age they're at. The New Long Life. There you go. Let me know what you think. Okay then, bye for now.